In this video, I will show you how to put together this 3D treasure box, which is an SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs. So this is a design that I designed back in 2016 when I started my business. And I felt like it needed a little bit of work. And it may not have made, I mean, it still is an okay design, but there were things to it that I felt like needed to be enhanced. So I just made some minor changes so it wasn't a big change. But this is one of the versions. I just kind of played around with color on this one. Instead of using, I simplified the file. So this color is the same for the box as the panels. But you can always make the panels a different color like this. So if you can see, let's see. So I changed it up here and I made the darker color. So all this is something you could do with your machine. So I made, this is the same color as that. So if you really wanted to simplify it and you had enough paper, you could go ahead and do that. And then I just added some dark gray here, and added some little bit stickles, which is a glitter glue type. It's kind of like a, I never use stickles. It's a nice thing to add a little glitter. So I used diamond on this one. So you can see, so some of the things about this, so this is, I changed, is that it's very smooth now here, where the original wasn't. So if you want to keep your original, you bought this already, then go ahead and save it somewhere else. But here's the new version. So I'm going to show you how to put that together because we never had a video before. So you could also glue that shut too if you want that. But I mean, if you want it to be opened, obviously you need to have it open. So I just use a little brad. So I'll show you how to put that together. So the first thing you want to do is identify the pieces. So we have all these little pieces that'll be in the corner, but part of them are for, you'll see right here, like this one fits there. Or it doesn't fit there. You see how right there it doesn't fit? So there's actually 8 of these total that are angled. So you want to make sure you keep them either separate. So I separate them. The angled ones are in here, and these are the rest of them. So these are for the squared off sides. So you can put those. It just gives it a little bit more dimension. And you don't need to use these, by the way. That's up to you. You could just use the little rivets, or you can put little something like enamel dots here, however you want to do it. So I have the little rivet pieces here. You see these little circular pieces, so we're going to do that. So the things that you can do before we put the box together is to put some of the panels together. So you don't want to do this one. So you'll notice I curled this. So I curled this on the end of the table, and I know you can't see it. So let me go ahead and just slowly move it, see if we can get it. Well, you can see it. I normally don't do this in the midst of a video, but you can see, you can do that. And if you don't want to do it on the edge of a table, you can use something like a bone folder. But this is just getting this prepped for the top. So this will be right here on the top. So we're not going to put that together yet, so I'm going to put that up there. So you just want to curl it. The same thing, this piece, pull that aside because we can't put that on. That goes on the top. It'll go like this and wrap around, but we can't do that until we get it assembled because we can't put this on before we put it together, the rounded top. So we want to put those aside. We'll put the box pieces aside. And then we'll work with these. So let's make sure we have everything we need. So we want to go ahead and just take these. So this one, you can see it has a little hole in it. So you want to match that up there. This matches up like this. So on the back I have a little arrow. So I cut this out, and just to make sure that you understand this is not the same size going both ways. So in order for me to emboss it first, I need to know which way it went. So I just kind of put it there, and I saw that was too short, so I flipped it around, and that was the way it goes. So what I did is I put little arrows in the back to indicate this is up and down. So you might want to do that for both of your pieces. And that's how I knew how to emboss it. And if you're wondering how I embossed it, I used an embossing folder like this. This is a new one that I got called Lumber. And it's a SVGs. And it's an extra thick one, just so you know. I mean, this is one where if you sandwich things, I only used one. I used a different sandwich methodology. And if you don't know what that is, and you can look it up, then you probably don't even use embossing folders. So it has like a nice wood texture. Then I inked it a little bit to pull out the details. So we did that. So the same way I have arrows, and you might want to do that for this big piece too. So I already did that, but I didn't put arrows. I just embossed it the correct way so I knew where it went. And we had these two extra ones. Two of them will be the panels, and the other two are for structural. I mean, to put it together, the box. So I put those aside. We have these. So all you got to do is put on the panels like you're seeing. Remember, anything but that top piece. So again, this will only go one way. Just make sure you put it on the correct way. Dry fit it before you glue it. Looks like that might be it. And the way to know is one side will be longer. Let's see if this comes together. So I'm doing this repetitively because somebody may do it, but you see how it has like that strip on the side there? It's the other way. Okay. So definitely dry fit those ones first. So I'm going to go through one of each because you don't need to see me put them all on. Well, let me do these little circular one, at least one of them. So the way you put this on, this has no corner pieces. You just want to line it up. So I'm just adding glue to the bottom of it. And just lining it up. I like to pick it up. Make sure it lines around the side. And then we'll do that for the other one. So I'll do one of the angled ones. So these angled pieces just make sure you have the correct one. So this one with the cutout goes with the cutout. So we'll do that one. The rest I'll do off camera, so you don't need to watch it. And I'll do one of these. So here, the same thing. The only reason I'm showing you one of each is because of the corners. Let's go ahead. Just line it up, just like you did that other piece. So that's not the hard part at all. And then what we would do is put these are the corner pieces and the rivets. So these are all the rivets. So what a mess, huh? So I'm just going to pull 4 out. So these wouldn't go with that one. It would go with the other one. So I'm putting the 4 with the... Okay, so we got them all separated. We have 4 of these. So these are different than the angled ones. Remember that. So I'm going to show you that. So these go here. So they'll go around every corner. So I'm just going to put 2 corners just to get through this, because this is the time-consuming part if you want to use this. I just think if you're going to make one for effect for one person, it gives it some additional detail. And be careful with metallic paper, because it will show glue on it. So I'm going to put 2 of these, even though we need to put them on all corners. Going to put that out of the way for a sec. So if anybody's wondering what I'm using, this is a metallic paper I got years and years ago at SVGs, but I love it. So it's thinner, so it's easy to work with when it comes to panels. I don't think they sell it anymore, but don't even have a label on my package. And then these I'm just going to be two of these rivets. So these will be the same. You can eyeball them. I'm going to use my pick-me-up tool to pick them up. And the nice thing about this metallic paper too, it's double-sided. And I am using Barely Art glue and American Craft textured cardstock for the actual box. Going to pop them on there. And I know it doesn't give a whole lot of variation. This lets me move it around. But you can see it'll start giving it the details. So this is the side, so the front will be a lot different. So we'll do that. Just want to show you how to do it, even though we'll do most of it off camera here. Okay, here's the important thing. There's 8 of these that have a special angle, and 4 each have different angles. So you'll have to dry fit them. So if you try to put this one, so make sure they go in the corner before you put them, so it won't fit. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off so you can see it. It won't fit. So this will fit. So you make sure you get them dry fit before you start putting them on. So this one goes there. So this has got a wider angle and this is narrower. So then we're going to put those on. And the same thing is just, I'm just going to do this before I put the panel on. I just want to show you how to do this part. You'll line it up, pull those out. This is how I usually do it. I just kind of put them where they belong. And then line it up here. And since this is double-sided metallic paper, which is kind of hard to find like this, I got them in big packs. So you just want to make sure it lines up and then continue to put them all on. So again, this is an optional. So I put a lot of things on this. First of all, when I was a little bit new at designing, and second, I think almost too much was put on this box, but it's a really sturdy box when you're done with it. So when you use something like this, the pick-me-up, sometimes it's a little gooey at the end, so you have to be careful they don't come off on the paper. I like to put it really lightly. So I got interrupted by a phone call. I thought I didn't mute my handing down the, what do you call it? Watch. I muted everything else, but that happens sometimes. So this is what it would look like, and it'll take time to dry, but you can see and you can make it different colors. I mean, just like this one, you can make it darker, which I originally did, but I was just simplifying the colors on the file. So you can do a lot of changes to it. That's up to you. So here we just want to make sure that we have the right one with the little slit in there, which will be for the lock mechanism. And then we'll go ahead and line this up. So after we get this put on, I'll go ahead and finish the rest of the panels. Like I said, minus the top one. Do not do the top one. So, I mean this one right here. Don't do that one. That'll be afterwards. So you want to kind of line it up. Make sure that that hole lines up so it goes all the way through. And if you get it lined up good on the edges, it'll do so. So I just like to flip it over. Because it's metallic, it takes a little longer. So I'll go ahead and finish putting these all together, and then we'll go on to putting together the box. Okay, so I got all these done, so these are ready to go when we get there, but I forgot we need to do the lock. So this is the lock, so I just like to do it in advance, and I'm using metallic paper for the top, and I believe this is coffee for the back. So you could use a black or something like that, but we want to match up that little hole, so we're going to glue that on. So this is a craft. This was actually originally from Coordination. It's a Tim Holtz metallic paper. This is bronze. And I believe it was, the one I got was from Coordinations, but I wasn't able to find it out there. But anyways, this is the Coordination Craft paper-backed metallic paper. They do still sell it, but I'll put the information, but it may not be available under the same company anymore. I'm not quite sure because I've had my stash for a while. And then this will go on later. This goes on the top. So this goes together. So you could either have a little dot that cut out here that make sure. You can either glue it on and put something like a enamel dot or something like that. I like it to rotate, so I use a mini brad. So we're just going to put a mini brad in there. Put it through this part first. I'll show you like that. The metallic kind of throws the see the video off a little bit. Metallic paper is not the best video. And then I'll go ahead and line it through the hole of this. So you'll see I'll just go like this. So I can put it in. And then push that all the way in and open it up on the back. So these are the mini size brads. So you might have to rotate this back part right here. You could try to cut it off with the wire cutter, but I just angle it and just put it down so I don't scratch it, so it won't be seen. So, and if you don't do it too tight, so I put it a little tight. It's actually okay. You can move with it. So you just need to figure that out for yourself. So it can go like this. And sometimes they move if you do it right. I just put it in a little tight. So, and then this goes on the front of this piece. So we can do that now. I decided I wanted a different color to give it more interest. The lock would be a different color than the gold framing on these sides. So be really super careful with your glue when you're around metallic paper because it'll show. So I got a little bit on there. So I always have this little damp, especially when I'm doing ultra damp paper towel. Just a little piece so I can help clean up those little messes. So these we can put aside. Then here we have these teeny pieces. So this is like the little latch. And that's this part right here. You can see it right there that sticks out. So I'm just going to glue it so we can slide the block through it. So they can fold back. There's a little teeny right here. Cut in it to fold it. You have to be really careful. So it folds like that. I'm just pre-folding it. So the bottom line is that this will work. This is probably the hardest part, but it's not hard. It's just intricate. I'm just going to put a little glue right here. And be careful if you need to make it a little less. Just going to kind of dab it. We're just going to glue that top part, so only that part right there. Just going to line up the other one. So that's the only place you put the glue. Line them up. And then these will flare out and glue on the inside. Like that. Okay, so we'll do that when we get that top piece on. We really don't want to do it before because it'll hinder us putting on the actual panels, or putting together the box. It'll squish it. And then these will be the side little handles. There's a little cut mark in them, So we'll just fold them up like this, and those will glue on the sides of. So we'll do that. These are all the last pieces that we're going to do. So let's go ahead and take this. Make sure I have the correct one. So you have 2 of those. You should opposite. These, and this is the top. So the top, to get it ready, you can always curl it again. Oops, let me go ahead and get that. So this, you can curl it with a bone folder. So some people might find this kind of, what do you call it, hard to do. I have a small hand, and I'm still able to do it, but I'm not worried about any, like, if I make it a little rigid or anything, because I have a top panel. So I'm curling this first before I do anything. So it'll be ready to put it together. So you have all these, so it'll go like this. So from the side, it's like that. We can go ahead and fold this naturally, but we really need it to have a valley fold, which is an inward fold. This is a mountain, here's a valley. I'm just going to very carefully do this. This would be easier if you used, maybe instead of solid score lines with the score tool, the dashed version. So I'm not going to do any more than that. So I have it all kind of ready to go. And then we'll be able to, once you get it curled a little bit, and this just helps you put it together. So you can see I can kind of curl it around like that to get more curl. Then we'll have it ready to put together. And so we can start this part since we already have it kind of curled and ready to go. So we need those 2 pieces. So I just zoomed out a little bit so you can see it better. So now you can see we have these little folds here. I'm just folding them in. And depending on how you cut this, I have the kind of a cut line scoring it, but with the Cricut it might be harder to fold, but or you can use a dash line version of this file, which is the default version. So I would take one of these, and I'm going to go ahead and take this, and we want we don't want that part on that side. We want, so the fatter side goes on this, towards this, okay? Like that. So we want the flat side up like that. So the thinner side down here, and the larger side here. So we're going to start at one end. I'm going to start here because it'll be noticeable if you don't start at the front. And it's a little bit off, it'll be more noticeable, where if we're off a little bit at the end, it won't be as noticeable. I hope we're not off at all, but... So we're going to start at the beginning. Make sure you have the right one. So I'm going to add glue to 2 tabs so we can anchor it on. So I want it to be the non-textured side it glues to, so I'm going to use this one. So you just kind of play around. Whoops. See, that's not the right one right there. Like that. So I want the texture side on the inside. Thin, a little taller, shorter in the front. So this is the front. We're going to start like this. We're going to get this edge as close and lined up with this one as possible. So I'm only gluing on the first tab, see? The second one, kind of pushing in so to line that second one up. So I'm pushing this in right here. The rest will be better. It's just this is the most crucial part, is the very first part. So if you have the original file, you can download the subtitled file, and the original file had like score lines in there. So it made it a little bit easier, but it wasn't quite as accurate as I want, and I wanted to look a little rounder. And since I know a little bit more about what I do today, how to do it, that's why I updated the file. So if you want to do all of them at once, you can. You just want to make sure the glue doesn't dry on you. But I'm going to do partial so you can see what happens if you just do a couple. So I'm going to flip it on its side. And pull, those kind of get pushed down. And then I'm going to start where let's get that out on the camera. I'm going to start down here where I attach the first ones. Then I'm kind of pulling it around and then pushing down at the same time. So I had to zoom out a little bit to get better focus. Hopefully you can see it. So we'll do it with the second set. We'll do this again on the other side. So if you missed it on this side, it will do the second side. We had some problems with my camera focusing strangely. So now we have all glued. I'm going to you want to push them up. And then right here, I'm going to start where I ended. And keep on going around, pushing in. So I'm pushing in right here as I go around to glue it. So that's what it'll look like on the side, like that. You see you have the shape on the side now. So you want to make sure it's good and secure before you move on to the other side. See, now you know why we kind of trained it circularly. I just like the top of this so much better than what I originally created. I do realize it's a little bit harder to put together though. So the same thing here. So I'm going to take this part and I want to make sure that the narrow part's in the front towards this flat edge. And then where the tab is right here is this way. So you want to start this way. So again, I'm just going to add glue to both tabs. And I do both because it's pretty thin. So I want to get that first one on. So I'm lining it up right here, lining this little edge up, and then kind of push in to get that second tab. So I'm just kind of feeling it from the other side, like that, to get it secured. So I'm going to do these all in one fell swoop, the rest of them. So I'm going to add glue to all of them. But again, you can do half and half like I showed you the first time, even though it was a little bit off, blurry. And if you do like this project, I always ask if you could give me a little thumbs up, a like on the video, and or subscribe to our channel. And if you hit that little bell to the right of subscribe, you'll be notified when we have new videos. And or tutorials, that kind of thing, and an occasional freebie. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put glue on all of them, so make sure they're not dry when you do this. So I'm kind of flipping them up. I'm going to try to show you at an angle that the camera will capture. So I start where I start pushing, holding down, and I'm going to slide those tabs out and wrap it around as I go. So I'm wrapping it underneath so you can see. It's a really good method of doing circular, so I'm just going to go the other way because I know you really can't see it because you really need to use the table. So this is what it'll end up like. So we'll go ahead and I put one side on, I'll put the other side on. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll put the top piece on in just a moment, give us a break. But you want to put glue right up to the edge. You can put it on the piece too, that's up to you. Just line it up. Because it's circular like this, it could be just slightly off, but we can just line it up best you can. Oops, let me push it down just a little bit. I didn't line up that top panel very well. And then you can go ahead and flip it on its side like that. Actually, we'll just do the top then. So this one you want to take your time with. So we'll take this too. And be careful with glue. So we'll do this piece first. So we make sure you pre-curl it. It's going to go around like that. It'll be easier than afterwards. Just putting these little rivets over here. So what I did, you can do it all at once. Unfortunately, just be careful because you don't want glue in the middle. Of course, here I am getting glue all over the place. Like, I like to put them on the sides, but some people might not care. I'm just putting a little bit. I'm going to start at the front. So I'm making sure there's no... I have a little water. Just getting the glue off my fingers. Start right here. I'll line this edge up. Just don't let it overlap. But just be really gentle with this piece because parts of it are very fragile. So get it nice and secure there. And then get this piece of, I'm going to go around. I'm going to stick to the edges here because I know that I'm going to have a frame. So I just lined it up going around. And then you can apply pressure like this inside. It just makes it easier to put this on after it's rounded, and you don't really want to line this up because what it does is it buckles. So that's one thing. Reason I wanted to do video, it always bothered me that I had written instructions for this one because there's certain things you can't really explain in written instructions. But again, if you want to keep them and you have the original file, this is slightly different. Actually, the assemblies, I did make some changes on it, so that's the reason for the new video. So like that. So now to put this on, what's really important is you find this little bump right here. So right here, there's a little bump there. That's where this is going to go. Right there. It helps you place that in the front. So this is in the front. So you want to place it in the front like that. So as with the other piece, I'm going to put glue here. I'm going to be really careful about getting glue towards the edges just so I don't get too much. So let me put that down so I don't get it all over my fingertips. So you could do this last piece at the end. But this is, remember, metallic paper, so anything you get on your fingertips gets on the other side and will be shown. So I'm going to start. So if the thicker this is, the harder this is going to be. So I'm just lining that up first. We don't want to press it down because we don't want the glue getting in places until we know we like where it's located. So now I'm going to gently guide it backwards, and I'm reaching inside as well. And you'll notice I don't have the little corners on. See how it's starting to lift? So we're going to let it lift a little bit. I'll show you how to fix that because that could happen to you. So the thicker this is, the harder it is going to go around. It's okay if it doesn't go to the very end. It gets the same effect. So this is the, it'll be a challenge with any metallic paper, really. You could use vinyl too. Vinyl would be easier. Like, so if you had a gold vinyl, I'm just going to get some glue down there. Get this front edge. So there's really, I think, only one really more difficult part about this. And that's putting this lid on. I think the rest of it's fairly simple. You want to be careful how much you pull on this. So this doesn't go all the way down because of the thickness, but it's okay. It's the same height. It's just the way that it rounds and how you get this to round. But if it looks good to you, there's no reason to pull it up and start over, because pretty much the person's going to see the front anyways. But it is perfectly engineered to be the correct length. So now we can go ahead and put these edges on. Just make sure you have the right ones. So this one, remember I said the top corners are narrower. So be ready to adjust if you put it in the wrong place. Oops. So you will have to hold these down a bit to get them in place. I didn't add any glue to the back of that. So I'd say make sure you add glue to the actual corner. So these will take longer to hold, and then you can pop the little rivets on there. So I'm being really gentle with it because I don't want to cause damage to this tab back here. So this one won't go up here because it's too wide. I believe this is the wide one. Yeah, so that one goes down here. And the other two are the narrower ones. So just take your time. It's just the same as when it was flat, but the difference is that this is now on this rounded portion of the design. So it just takes longer, especially with metallic paper, to get it adhered. So these two, these are just the corners. They're all the same size. So I was thinking this was the front. I'm going crazy here. So these are all the same size. So let me go ahead and put these other two, and then I'll put all the rivets, and then we'll go and put together the box. So this is all we have left. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue these on. So make sure you put this on the correct way. If you put it on the other way, like I said, it's not the right size. So make sure you fit it on. So these, I know I embossed it horizontally with the little embossing folder I used. So I know I can visually see how it goes on. And then I'll put this on. So we can put this, and this. And then we'll move on to putting the rest of the box together. But you want to go ahead and make sure you pre-fold these panels. So see if you can finish this before You can see my air conditioning comes on again. I have to record this in between the noise. So we put these 3 on, but we don't want to put this one on yet. So that'll go on after we get the lid on. So let's go ahead and glue this piece to that tab. So we did that flat to make it easier. We don't want to make it hard on us. We want to make it easy to put together. So just line that up. So one thing I'm going to tell you, we're going to glue the we're going to glue this piece together first because we don't want to mess with this piece. This is not going to be the easiest to put on, but it's not so difficult. So when we glue this, you can see it's going to fold around like this. And we're going to go ahead and glue this edge to close it. So you have to kind of pick it up and line it up. So we want to line this edge up. So I'm right-handed here, really right-handed. So I'm trying not to get any glue on that gold. So we line it up like that. And once you get a little pressure on it, you can flip it over and apply pressure against the table. It's just the angle. It can't glue straight. So the decision we have to make is, and I'm going to explain it to you really quick. You can glue these in the inside, but if you glue them on the outside, so you have 2 choices. You can glue them on the inside. If you glue them on the inside, you go ahead and add glue to these, and you wouldn't see the tabs. So if you're going to put something heavier in there, I would absolutely recommend you do the opposite, which is, if you're going to give this put it as a decoration or something for a party, it really doesn't matter whether there's tabs on the bottom showing. So I would say I prefer this. I mean, if it's just decoration and you care, but not everybody, for pretty much nobody will probably ever pick it up to look. So I'm pushing that in. So we're putting them on the bottom. Honestly, it's a box. It's meant to hold things. I mean, you could put a strength piece on the bottom. I believe it's 2.5 by 4 something. I can't remember what it was, but you could do that in your software to find a little rectangle to put on there. It's 5 at the top, so I can't remember what the bottom was. It's 4 point something. Anyways, I don't see a problem with putting them on the bottom though. So, because this type of box is usually for a party or decoration, but if it's to hold something, we want it to be as strong as possible. So make sure those are glued well. So here's the part that gets a little bit dicey. So we folded it back like that once, and we don't want to fold it too much, but we want to glue this to the back. So this is going to go like this. Glue on the back. Like that. So it's kind of hard to reach in. I guess if you didn't put the bottom on, we could have done it before that. I just didn't want it to interfere when you're flipping it over. We don't want to destroy anything. So this is the most fragile part. So I'm going to add glue to this. Remember, we have that back panel to put on, so I don't have to worry about that. Just trying to get some good. So we want to line up this edge right here to this edge. These will be angled in just a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of go up here so you can see where it is. I'm just rubbing it on right now to get it in place. I'm going to flip it over gently. And you can see in here, I'm just going to take my little bone folder. It could be any wood, anything wood, and just apply pressure against that top edge without really putting any pressure on this. So bone folders are good because it really doesn't destroy the paper. It's a good way to get in, or you could use a wooden chopstick too. It's just this is wider, so I'm using this to make sure we have a good. So there it goes. So it can open like that. I'm just taking this and making sure I get a lot of pressure so it doesn't glue. So make sure you get this good and dry. You can see it. So now let's go ahead and put on the remaining pieces. So we have this piece, which is, it will pull, it cuts right there, and just fold it, and I'm folding it gently. So it's flat all the way here. It just folds up. That's the latch piece. So I'm going to add glue to this. Then line up or the little round part pieces there, and line it up. This bottom piece should be, so you know that little rounded area right there. That tells you where to place this. So the original file didn't have this, so it was, you kind of had to eyeball it and match it up yourself. So we added that to this, to the updated file. So I'm going to gently pull this back. Take this piece, we're going to push it together through here. It will go through as long as you lined it up the whole right. If not, you can always put something in there to make it wider. Then we're going to fold those back. So if you can see them right here, we're going to fold these pieces back like that. If you didn't want somebody to see it, you could put a piece of cardstock over this. And then add that. It's just something you could do. So I'm just going to fold it back. That, making sure there's no glue on your fingertips. Make sure during these, when you're working on all this metal. And make sure those are glued well inside. You don't want to be flipping this up and like open all the time because it will weaken it. So the other things we want to add are these little side pieces. So you just want to add glue, fold it out like this, and then add glue. There is no solid score line on this. This is just dash lines to make it easy to fold. I'm going to gently do that one more time, so we don't do that too much more. You can place it in the same place in the middle or a little bit higher. I put a little higher. One thing with these craft paper backed metallic papers, it makes it easier to glue. So there's craft paper on the back and making it easier to glue on your projects. And we'll do the second one. You see how gentle I am with that lid. Put it about the same place. So you have those little handles. And then the last thing is to, let's go ahead, I forgot to put that on. So we're going to place that gently. I shouldn't have done that. So we should have put that on first, but so let me put it sideways. So we're just going to go ahead and put this on there. So you may not get the pressure you need without reaching inside. Just put a goodly amount of glue on it to get it adhered, and it'll hide that back. So if you wanted to omit this, it would be okay too, if you didn't care about whether that back part was on it. That's up to you, because it still looks good on the back. I'm just going to line that up. So, and then it hides that tab. So you could put it on its back again, carefully and reach in and apply pressure. But the more you do this, it's going to cause stress points at where it opens and closes. So just be aware of that. Or you could just do this. So rubbing it will get it to adhere too. So the only last thing to do is to add the lock. So here we go. Just you can go ahead and fold it close. I'm going to go ahead and it's kind of hard to do it vertically, but I'm going to do it vertically like that. And you can slide it through like that. So that's kind of fun. So you could just close it up like that if you've got a brad in it. And that's it. So that's the finished treasure box. Again, this is a newly updated file that was designed several years ago. This is 2023. I designed it in 2016. So I was newer to designing, and I just wanted to give it a little update. So remember, you can get a completely different look. So there's a completely different look. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and I thank you so much for watching.